Evening, good evening. My name is Assis Saleh from UITM Malaysia Sabah branch. Today I'll be presenting on Kimanis by-election, the role of the candidate, missionary and current issues on to the election results. So the objective is, just like the title suggests, is to examine the strengths and weaknesses of the political parties and the candidates in terms of the current issues, the missionaries, and the candidates. Basically, we wanted to see to what extent current issues, missionaries, and the candidates or the candidacy affected, influenced the chances of those political parties running the Kimanis by-election. So we went to Kimanis for we spent about 2 weeks, 1 week prior the election day and a week after. And during the field work, we held a key informant interviews and held a number of focus group discussion with the local voters as well as the local communities. Now, just a little bit of information, background information for some of you, for some of us who might have no idea about the election system in Malaysia. So, uh, in in uh, in a nutshell, uh, in Malaysia we have about 222 parliamentary constituencies, and each one of these parliamentary constituency has two or three state constituencies under. Now, political parties with the most numbers of parliamentary constituencies won in a given election will go on to form the federal government. And likewise, political parties with the majority seats of states seats will go on to form the state government. Now, the election system in Malaysia is based on single member constituency. That means there will be only one representative representing a constituency, either parliamentary or state. And the voting system applied here is first past the post, not proportional representation as some other democratic countries apply. Now, Malaysia held its 14th general election, the 14th time, in 2018. In Kimanis parliamentary constituency, what makes this constituency special is that it was the constituency of Malaysia's former foreign minister, Anif Rahman. Anif Rahman was the Kimanis representative for 4 terms coming into this by-election. He was the parliamentary representative for 4 terms in a row. 2004, 2018, 2013, and 2019. Now, in 2018, Anifa, for the first time running for this parliamentary seat, he won the election, and he got 11,942 votes, as opposed to Karim, who managed to get 11,796 votes. The third candidate was an independent candidate, Jafar Ismail, secured only 1,300 votes. So as you can see, the difference of the votes, the numbers of votes between Karim and Anifa were very slim. In fact, Anifa won with a very slim majority of only 156 votes. Now, if we go back in time, used Anifa was used to winning Kimanis seat handsomely. In 2004, he won with a 5,000 majority, likewise 2018, and likewise in 2013. But suddenly in 2018, he won only with 156 votes. So, considering this record, considering these numbers of votes, so Karim thought that he had a genuine case, and filed for he filed for election petition special with the special court of election, and took about 18 months, and eventually the special election court decided in favor of Karim, cancelling the election results in 2018 on the ground of technical discrepancies, which, as admitted by Election Commission itself, was caused by the EC, not by any other any one of the candidates. So the technical discrepancies were caused by the Election Commission itself. Now, acknowledging that Anifa refused to recontest, to rerun to run the by-election, and also the fact that he left UMNO 5 months after the G14 also put him into a complicated situation. So eventually he decided not to run the by-election, and UMNO in his place put forward Muhammad Alamin, while Warisan, owing to the fact that Karim was the one who filed the petition, stayed with him. There was no independent candidate this time around. For your information as well, Warisan was the state government of the day, while its partner in the federal level, Pakatan Harapan or PH, was the sitting federal government. As you might have all known as well, 2018 was the first time that Barisan Nasional was removed from power. So Barisan Nasional had by until that time had been the federal government since 1957, since independence. So 2018 was a remarkable year when eventually it suffered a defeat, and PH came in its place by forming a new federal government. Um, Now, as far as the findings are concerned, both of these Muhammad Alamin and Karim was actually they shared one thing in common. Both had served as the state representative of Bengawan constituency. Like I said just now, each parliamentary constituency has two or three state constituencies under. So Bengawan is one of the two state constituencies under Kimanis. So now Muhammad Muhammad and Karim were former representatives for Bengawan. Now the difference between these two was that Karim represented Bengawan for more than 5 terms, more than 20 years. And in fact, Karim was defeated by Muhammad Alamin in 2000 and in the state election 2013. But Muhammad went on to suffer a defeat in state election 2018, also by a Warisan candidate going by the name of Dr. Yusuf. By this time, Karim, after he suffered a defeat in 2013, went on to one level higher by he contested the parliamentary seat. Now, all the three, Hanif Ahmad, Muhammad Alamin, and Karim, were all former members, were and are members of UMNO. So since 2018, like I said just now, Hanifa went on to become independent. Uh, Karim went on to join Warisan, and Muhammad Alamin is still a member of UMNO. Now, speaking of these two, Muhammad and Karim, like I said, Karim, since he had this record of serving for Bengawan for more than 20 years, we found that uh, the local communities had a lot of things to talk about him. While Muhammad, on the other hand, we found that the local communities had very little to talk about him, except from the fact that he was defeated uh, by a new local boy, also from Bengawan, Dr. Yusuf. So now these service records, in some turn out to be an advantage for Muhammad Alamin because since the local communities had very little to talk about him, the most most of the things that the people remembered about Karim were the bad things that he left behind. Actually, to put this thing in a nutshell, Karim was Karim left behind a negative or a bad legacy behind. So the moment the local communities, the local voters saw that Karim wanted to run again for the parliamentary constituency, you could see that there was a widespread frustration among the local communities, even among the Warisan's missionaries themselves. So some of them said that they were actually disappointed with the decision made by the Warisan's hierarchy. But like I said just now, also Warisan had to had to fill in Karim because he was the one who spent lots of resources and money filing in the election petition and eventually won it. So Warisan owe it to Karim for persistently going after the petition and eventually won it. So uh, now here, in summary, the service record of these two candidates eventually turned out to be both advantages and disadvantages. And in this case, it turned out to be an advantage for Muhammad because he had a lot of things to talk about Karim. And Karim, on the other hand, had little things to talk about Muhammad because Muhammad managed to serve only for about 4 years. Now, as far as the current issues were concerned, Morrison at that time going into the by-election had to defend lots of things. In fact, Morrison had to be on the defensive. UMNO, on the other hand, turned on to be on the offensive because Morrison, 2 years going into this by-election, uh, had lots of things to answer. Some of which, with regard to its manifestos, which remain unfulfilled until that time. And I think the most controversial issue at that time was the Warisan's plan to introduce what we call Temporary Pass (STP). Sabah Temporary Pass was actually meant to register the illegal immigrants in Malaysia, and it was supposed to be the first uh, the first uh, the first step in holistic action to put the illegals under control. And also it was also supposed to be an exercise to eventually to get the exact numbers of the immigrants in Sabah. But in Sabah, every time you speak about the immigrants, it would always turn to be, or it would always lead to something negative. It is, uh, it is not, it is not to say that the Sabahans were anti-immigrants. No, they were actually anti-illegals, illegal immigrants. For your information also, going by the data provided by the government, there were almost 1 million illegal immigrants in Sabah alone. And most of them came from in the Philippines who fled to Sabah during the civil wars in Mindanao in the 70s and 80s, and the remaining illegal immigrants came from Indonesia as well. So the total numbers of these illegals were estimated to be in a range of 1 million. Now the total population of Sabah alone was only 3.2 million. So that is why always it is a very controversial issue when every time a political party speaks about the illegal immigrants. So any attempt to uh, to to what you call to legitimize the illegal immigrants' presence in Malaysia will surely be be a bad omen for the political parties. But Horizon had to do something at that time. Horizon thought that they was doing that they were doing the right thing because they wanted to put an end to this issue, to never-ending issue of the illegal immigrants. And the first step, the correct one, the correct step towards that objective is to get their numbers, their total numbers. But this proposition by Warisan was met by a huge rejection by the local communities as well as uh, the other communities in Sabah. And this proposition also played a very important role in encouraging the other opposition political parties to join forces with UMNO. And this brings us to the third finding. Now, as far as machinery was concerned, since UMNO was the stronghold of UMNO, and the fact that the other opposition political parties joined forces with UMNO, it helped UMNO's machinery to double its resources, to double its strength, to double its reach, as opposed to Warisan's. And now this unified coalition eventually, its machinery eventually managed to dwarf that of Warisan. And on the election day, UMNO won with a majority of 2,029 votes, not only not even half of what Anifa used to win, but it was enough to keep the Kimanis parliamentary constituency under UMNO, but this time, of course, under Muhammad Alamin. Warisan, so in this by-election, UMNO managed to get 12,706 votes, while Warisan managed to get 10,677 votes. But these numbers are actually uh, you one should consider as flattering for Warisan. But from our point of view, we believe that Warisan, because of its position as the sitting state government, so that also contributed to its managing to get these numbers of votes, which was quite huge. Now for the conclusion, so we can conclude here that Warisan suffered badly from the candidacy, wrong choice, wrong candidates with a long bad legacy, and wrong timing of the current issues, especially the proposition to introduce Sabah's temporary pass, wrong timing. And then the last one, in terms of the machinery, uh, Warisan's machinery failed to match the machineries of the unified uh, opposition political parties. And collectively, these three contributed to the victory of UMNO and the defeat of Warisan. I think that would be all from me. Thank you.